If you have a garage door business and you're not getting a ton of leads from your website, this is most likely going to be a reason why. I decided to take a look around the United States and find a garage door company website that needed a little bit of help and use it as an example for you to do a live build out showing you what a website looks like and what it could look like based on just a few simple changes and a rebuild on the first fold even that can get you a ton more leads for your business. And before I jump in, I do just want to note, like, I'm not making fun of this person's website. I'm not, trying to give any hate or anything towards them. I'm trying to simply use this as a demonstration purposes to show you how you can better do it and maybe help them out along the way. So here is the website that I found. I quickly just did a search for Boulder, Colorado garage door companies, and this is what we've got. So right out of the box, this one has a lot of things wrong with it and it has a lot going on. So my first thing that I want to say here is we have a ton of different call to actions. So that's something we're going to fix. You've got a call us now button that's hiding underneath my camera over here. Let me move it up over here. You see the little call us now button. We're going to get rid of that one for sure. You can see the schedule your appointment, and we're just going to focus on this first fold here. Because this is what this is. The first fold is essentially before scrolling down the page, that's your first fold. So we want to focus on that because that's where the majority of your conversions are going to come from or where they're going to start. So we've got a contact email up here, another call now button, a book an appointment here, a schedule your appointment here, a design your door up here, a contact us text button, a home, about us, kind of on a secondary menu. Just a lot going on, a little bit hard to read on this. So in general, it's very difficult. So I've got some ideas here. What we can do is I can go ahead and I'm going to rip this background image so that I can still use their image. I'm going to grab their logo and show you what I would do for just a super quick, simple build. If you are looking to do this, I'm going to show you step by step exactly how I'm building it. Live, I'm using WordPress. I'm using Elementor. You can go down in the description. There's a link for SiteGround. That's the host I recommend. You can go on there and set up a website. It's pretty cheap and affordable, and it's super lightning fast, which for me as a web design and marketing guy, it's a no-brainer. You need a super fast, quick website because if I land on this website and I can't get the information I'm looking for, I'm going right to your competitor and I'm going to go ahead and hire him. So that's why if you do want to check that out, it's in the description along with all the other good links for all that good stuff. So let me do this and then we will jump over to a local version. Okay, so I did move my camera down here to the bottom right now so I don't block out the Elementor kind of, different things that you got going on over here. So I most likely won't use anything from Elementor Pro. I don't think I do have Elementor Pro installed. And like I said, this is a local version. It's not a live website or anything. It's hosted on my computer. And then I can just go ahead and build these lovely websites for you. So what we're doing here is we're going to go ahead and build out just a super simple first fold page. So essentially, I'm going to go with you live. I'm trying not to cut out too much unless I say something stupid. But we are using the new updated version of Elementor, of course. We've got the containers and the grids, all the good stuff. And we are going to go ahead and start building. I'm just going to start out with a simple two-box layout here, just because it's going to be, this is just kind of whipping together a quick one for you, just so you could, hopefully be able to do this too. So what we're going to want to do first is they had the header image. So I just uploaded their logo here. They do have it optimized as a WebP 10 kilobytes, which is nice. Not a huge fan of their logo. It's a little bit blocky and clunky, but hey, we're not hating on that part. It looks like a Minecraft door, actually. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but we are going to go ahead and grab that. I'm just going to go to style here and shrink it down on the width, probably about 25-35% because it is pretty chunky. And I'm going to line it left so it goes to the left side of our block. And then we're going to go ahead and focus on the right side. So there's a couple different things. I'm just kind of getting the layout here, just kind of showing you guys what a good layout should look like. Make it look good, but also be functional. So the one thing I notice is they have a nav menu. So I am going to actually duplicate this to make it a 3-block layout, which is going to mean that I need to adjust the width on this and probably go up to like 30%. I'm going to click on the container and make sure that I'm aligning to the center and the justify content here in the items. What that's going to do is just essentially say, here's the block. We want the logo to sit centered, across this line here in the middle. So then what we're going to do is on our right side, we're going to go in and add another element. Simple, we're going to put in a button. So in the button, we're going to justify this as stretch on the position. Again, you're going to click this little box to go to the container, center it, and we're pretty much good to go as far as the CTA goes, right? So This is our CTA, our call to action. This is the thing that we want people to do. So they're saying book or schedule an appointment. We want to say one, right? You don't want to say book an appointment in one spot, schedule an appointment in the other, learn more, like all looking the same. You want it to be clear when someone lands on the website. What am I on this website for? Do you do it? Do you service my area? And what are the next steps if I do want to reach out to you? So that's what we're focused on with the call to action. For me, I want to say something that's going to be really focused for the person, right? It's going to, drive them to that next step. For me, there's a lot of different things you can do with garage doors. It could be request a service if that's what you're mainly focused on. You could be request an estimate, request a garage door estimate. Let's see what that looks like. Or a garage door quote. I guess it depends, right? Because some people are going to do both. I know a lot of garage door guys only do service and repair, which makes a lot of sense to me on the math. So I'm right there with you. But let's just do request a garage door quote. Just keep it straightforward. I'm going to change the font. I'm going to go with something like Inter because it's a little bit, more professional looking. Maybe 600 bold. We'll see how it looks with the colors. And I'm actually going to keep the border radius as squared off, I think, right now, because their logo's got some squares to it. It's pretty squared off. Garage doors, pretty square. So I am going to keep that squared off. I'm just going to go ahead and change the color to our gold bronze color that we took from their website. Now, not my favorite color, honestly. It doesn't really pop. I almost want to see if we can get something a little bit brighter going on. That's not crazy. Adjusting their colors. For me, I would say I probably want something that's more along these lines. So I am going to take that and actually maybe run with both of them. So we might say that that's the CTA. So now the next thing we could do here is we could grab this and we could say, hey, we want to hover on it. So, when you want to hover over it, it actually changes to a different color. So you can tell you're hovering on desktop. So typically I'll just drag that down, find something. Or you could go a little bit brighter depending, but we're already pretty bright. So we'll go a little bit darker. So you can tell it changes. There we go. That's good. Not even worried about it. That's good to me. And then typically what we would do here is we'd put a menu element that will actually pull off the WordPress menu. I don't actually have a WordPress menu on here, obviously, and I'm not going to go through setting up a whole WordPress menu for this. So what I'm going to do is probably just grab a icon list, put it inline, which allows it to go, next to each other. Get rid of two of them, get rid of this, and then we could just make this our menu. Again, we're gonna have to do the same thing. We're gonna have to align this to the center. And then what we can do is go ahead and actually put some menu items on here. Now, this is obviously, if you're doing a real website, you're not doing the menu like this, but I'm just gonna do the menu. Typically, it would be, all the different stuff that they got going on. For me, I'll probably grab this, actually, drive the width down to maybe 25%. Maybe do a little bit more than that, maybe 30%. And then grab this one, drag it up a little bit more. So that one was 30 to 60. Make this one just a little bit smaller. And then what we can do is we can make this obviously a bit bigger. And then we can adjust that after, but that was throwing me off a little bit. So I'm just going to do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab myself my little thing here and put some information. We just might say, so on here they had garage door repair, garage door installation, emergency services, commercial area served. So they got repair, installation. We're probably going to go repair, installation, and then commercial garage doors, area served. And then that should be good. Actually, we might do an about us. Probably not, actually. We're not doing that. Okay, so we're focused on conversion with this build, right? We're not looking for something super generic. So we're going to say garage door repair. And then we'll add another one. Actually, we'll duplicate this one. Garage door installation. I'm going to have to bring these over, add a divider. Make the divider like 2, make it a bit darker. Actually, we're going to make it 1. A little bit lighter than that. And then that should be good. And then we can add more space between them. Change our font over to Inter. So it matches up. Keep these fairly light for this because it doesn't really need to be super crazy. Bring this space between down a little bit again. And then, yeah, so we're running into a little bit of an issue as far as, sizing here. So I'm going to break this thing small so it's just a logo and then bring it up to 100% width. just because there's a lot going on as far as length on this stuff. So this will probably get shortened down. I don't want to spend too much time on this header. It is going to be everywhere, obviously, on the website, but I still want to make sure that we're spending enough time building the rest of it. So yeah, basic idea. We're going garage door repair, garage door installation. What we're doing, commercial garage doors. That could be honestly the basics. I don't know what the other thing was. Basic service areas, which we can always put in the footer. So I'll just center that, and then here you can see we've got a basic header. It honestly does not look very good. I'm not a huge fan of how it looks right now. This would take a lot more time messing with it. But I am gonna go ahead and grab the font in here and make it a little bit thinner, just because it doesn't look great. It doesn't stand out to me yet. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take the back of this. I'm going to add on here, you can go into the border and add the box shadow. So I'm going to add a box shadow on it. I do just want to drag the color just a little bit. So that's going to basically just put it down to 33% opacity. So it's a little bit more subtle. And then we'll go ahead and add our second block, which is actually going to be our main block of the website. So there's two different things we can do here. One, we can just create a dual block and do a form on the main page. This is going to be to maximize your conversion like you would do on a landing page or something like that. That's how industry is kind of going to do it, and it's the best way to maximize conversion. So I'm going to go ahead and do advanced on this container, turn off the padding, or what, I guess turn it off. I'm just going to add like 65 for this. Actually, let's go 85 to start. Keep it a little bit wide. And then obviously we're going to have to play with it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag in 3 headings. Actually, I'll do 2 headings on this one. And then I'm going to add a text editor. Just keep it pretty simple on this one. So the reason we're doing 3 headers is 2 headers is because one is going to be our H1 tag, which is going to be mainly used for SEO, for when Google and other search engines and ChatGPT and all that stuff are scanning through our website. They're going to be focused on reading this H1 to understand what we do and where we do it. It's also going to be a little bit of a signal to people when they land on it, but we want that H2, this one right here, to be our main words that are actually talking to the person. So you'll see this as a super big issue. If we go back over to their website over here, you can see they've got garage door repair and installation in Boulder, Colorado. I'm assuming that this is going to be their H1. If we take a little quick gander at it, yep, so they've got that as their H1. And you can see they also have it as their main content on their website. And then you can't even read this, but it says your Boulder, Colorado garage door company. The strong choice for your garage door needs. It's just, none of that stuff really matters to someone new landing on your website. So I'll show you what I mean here in a second. So basically what we'll do is we'll grab this one and we'll say garage door repair and installation in Boulder, Colorado. Boom. So there's our H1. Obviously, we're not going to keep it big, bright, red, and ugly. We're going to mark it as H1. We're going to go to our size. We're going to drop it down, probably maybe there, and then size it nice and small. So we might go 14 point, right? So 14 pixels. That's going to be our H1. So that's, like I said, that's focus for Google, right? But you're also going to get that trust signal when someone lands on it. Whoops. You're going to get that trust signal when someone lands on it that they see Boulder CO, so they automatically know you do what you're looking for in their area. Now this next one, this is my favorite, because a lot of times people will go in here and they'll put what they should have in the H1, or they'll say where, or we'll say the rated #1 garage door company in Boulder or whatever, because they're trying to stuff those keywords in there a little bit more. Where if you actually, wanted to get leads out of your business and not just, look spammy for Google, what you do is you go into that H2 and you'd say, don't wait until your garage door won't open, right? So if you're focused really on getting those repair and service jobs, this is, this is a prime headline, right? So what we'll do here is we'll go in, change this again to a better font. We're going to make this one nice and bold. I like to go really heavy on this, sometimes a little bit too much, I'm not going to lie. But let's just start with this and size it up. So we can get it nice and big, because You want this to be your main prominent message that's going to really, hit the person and hook them, right? So we want it to speak right to them. So we're saying don't wait until your garage door won't open. But then this one up here is giving the data that we need for Google. So you're getting SEO, but you're actually speaking to the person so they can actually become a conversion for you. So now in this section underneath, you can put, I'm just coming off the top, literally just instantly off the brain. That's honestly pretty good coming off the brain. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so we're gonna grab that, change it to enter as well. Typically what I'll do with these two is I'll grab the line height and just open it up just a little bit because you don't want it to be too tight to each other. You want it to be easily readable. So we're gonna do that. We're also gonna do it with the main headline, just adjust the line height just a little bit, just so it's a little bit easier to read. And then what we can do is obviously we're going to change this background. You don't have to do a background. You always have to do something, but you don't have to do a background. So I'm going to add a background in here anyways. I like this picture a lot. It's just like an Adobe stock picture of a background. And then, I'm just going to go into the style settings here, make sure this is like medium large on the image resolution. So that's essentially just going to compress it down a bit more so that it shows better. Typically, I'm downloading them as WebP, putting them on there first anyway. I'm going to put it no repeat. I'm going to change the display size to cover. And then now it's going to be covering the entire thing. And for position, I'll probably go center. Boom, there we go. We have a nice garage door, nice house. So one mistake that a lot of people do as well is they will go ahead and take the garage door, instead of just putting, a picture like this where it's like got a garage door, they'll just put just the garage door or something like, that doesn't really speak to the person. I like to zoom out a little bit. A lot of times, like if you can get people actually doing stuff with the garage door, like kids playing in the driveway or whatever in front of a nice house, whatever, it shows that like personal emotion, and you can kind of play into the emotions and the character aspect of it because, you always want to make it a little bit more personal so it resonates. So now that we'd have this, I'm actually going to go in and add a bit more padding on the top and the bottom just to open it up a little bit more. You can kind of see what the website's looking like so far, super quick. But we need to obviously make this not look like this. So in order to do that, we're going to go into the container again, go into our background overlay and grab a gradient. I'm going to go with black and also black. And then I'm going to turn the opacity all the way up. Now, we just basically got rid of it, but what we're going to do is grab this and slide it down. So we can decide if we want to go from the top down or the bottom. I'm thinking I might want to go top down on this one just to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to decrease the bottom here so it looks something like this. So you can still see what's going on and whatnot, but you're kind of focused on the text. So obviously not going to be sitting here keeping it red or whatever colors, but we're going to go ahead and grab our color from our button, which is our new bright color, and try putting it on there. Now, the thing that I think about doing this, you are pulling away from the CTA, that call to action color. I typically want to do one color for the entire website. So if I have this as the call to action, I want that to be the only thing with that color throughout the website. But in this situation, we're just going to run with it quick just so we can, finish building out the website and you can kind of understand where I'm going with this and why. Next thing, I'm going to change this top line, and I don't think I ever changed. Yeah, so let's change the font on this one as well, and also just make this one pretty thin. We want this one to be pretty tiny up there. So we're going to go, a light 300 weight. Try and keep it consistent. Use like 1 to 3 weights on a page or on a first fold at least, because it'll help it load faster. And it's just easier for the everything to compute. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm actually just going to make it like a grayish kind of color, so it's a little bit more subtle. And then I'm going to go down to our little call to action kind of thing down here, our little paragraph text, change this, make sure it's enter. And then again, this one will actually get brightened up to a white color, which you can see now we have a little bit of a problem. So now we got to go back to our background overlay, grab this and drag it up a little bit more to darken it. It's okay, you don't have to have like the brightest background. It's more so to be a subtle touch, especially if you can have some like workers, some like real people in there. For this example, this will work perfectly fine. So you can see this is what we're looking like now. So we went from that other website to this. Okay, so I do think we need to, just add some more padding on here, just so we can make it take up most of the first fold area, just since we're, just building that right now. The next thing I'm going to do is build our second section here. So on our right section, I'm going to drag another container in. You're probably like, why would you add another container within a container? It's all going to make sense here in a second. I'm going to grab this container and I'm going to fill this with a background color of pure white. Now I'm going to go to style, I'm going to go to my border, and my border radius, I'm going to set it to around 5. Now if you click this off, you're not going to see nothing because there's nothing inside of it right now. But once we go ahead and drag ourselves in a headline, we're going to add a heading. We are going to add a small, actually I'm going to add 2 headlines. I'll show you exactly why in a second. And then this is the part that's Elementor based, or Elementor Pro. But we are going to, I don't know what happened here. This thing like dragged down to the bottom. We have no padding on this, so we are just going to add 15 on the left, 15 on the right, probably 35 on the top, 35 on the bottom, just to keep it pretty consistent. And then we need to duplicate this down. So we have 2 headlines, and there you go. Now we have a form on the page. But you may notice something that's kind of happening. Remember how I had to move these ones before and organize them? We got to do the same thing here, justify it to the center, just so it lines up. For now, you don't have to do this on this. You could keep it like this and then push this down, and there's some different fun things you can do there, but I'm just going to, for the basics of it, keep it pretty consistent so you get kind of what I'm going for here, just for a basic thing. Like I said, like we're probably 27 minutes in right now, including me talking about what I'm doing and talking about the other stuff, and we have a pretty quick layout. So I just want to show you that like you can quickly transform your website easily into a better converting machine. So what we're going to do here, obviously, if you guys have never done any of this stuff, it's probably not going to be as quick as, like someone like me who's been doing this for years and years and years. But it's, it is possible, and hopefully, you can take some stuff out of this and apply it to your website. By the way, if you're getting bored of learning and you don't want to sit there and learn why all this stuff works to get you more jobs, you can just go ahead and click the link down below and join the Growth Lab at pelchatgroup.com/lab, and you can just download the asset inside of the free resources tab, and you'll be able to just throw this up on your Elementor website and start building it for yourself. So here we're taking our heading and we're going to say something like request your quote, maybe request your garage door. We'll see how it looks. So with that, we would go center this one. Because we have our H1 and our H2 in this block, we can either make this an H2 or an H3. I'm probably going to go H3 just to be safe. And then I'm going to change this one to a P. A lot of people don't know you can do that, but you can go into the headlines and turn them into a paragraph text. So what that does, it just doesn't interfere and it doesn't show us anything other than a paragraph text. We're going to go ahead and center that. What we can actually do is go to our main container and center both of these so that everything lines up nice and smooth. And then in our paragraph text, we can say something like, quickly fill out the form below or call us at, and then this is where we put the phone number. Okay, so that will work. Keep it a period, go over here, make sure that's enter. Change this, go with like a lightish gray. This definitely needs to go like 400 at least, and I almost want to add a bit more padding on this one. So I'm gonna go 25 and 25, keep it a little bit more organized. And then this one, we can obviously go ahead and increase the size. And I'm actually gonna change this to just request your quote. Just to be a little bit more straightforward so I can have it, I don't want it massive. That's the thing. You don't want to have this huge because this is your main focus. So you don't want to draw too much attention. So here, change this. We're going to probably just go with like a black on it just so it's, doesn't pop as much. And then what we're going to do is on our form, I typically like to turn off labels and then just use placeholders just because I think it reads a little bit better. We can actually decrease this down as well. And what we can do on here is even add padding on each side, and that'll just kind of, tuck things in a little bit, or you can adjust the width to be custom here, and that'll, again, shrink it in. But we'll just do that. And then you'll notice the phone number is not clickable. Another huge thing we should be doing. So this is a little bit more advanced, honestly. What you could do is you could just put in the link here. My camera did just die, so I do apologize. I'm going to finish out the video without it, just because we're already in the middle of things here. But what you could do is in the link section here, you can go ahead and change that and just put TEL, a colon, and then you can put your phone number. So for this instance, it would be 1-720-555-5555. And what happens is that will make this entire thing a clickable link that will then call the person. So essentially what you could do here is you could add a caret to the left and then do an A and then href equals, and then in quotations, we're going to go ahead and type in the TEL that we were just talking about with the colon 1720 555 with none of the little dashes or anything like that. It does look like my 5 button just went crazy on there. So it goes 720 555 5555. Okay, there we go. It's perfect. And then we're going to end the quotations and then a little caret the other way. And then what we do is at the end of the phone number, we do a left caret, little pointing to the left, /A, and then a one to the right. And what that'll do is that'll close it out. So it only affects this text here, which is a phone number. So if you hover over and we look at, quickly or any of these other words, it doesn't click to call. But if you go over the actual phone number, it does click to call. You can take that another step and add, a style on it that has like a hover overlay to like underline or something, to make it look like it's clickable. But I'm not going to deal with that right now because that's a little bit more advanced in, coding and CSS and stuff like that. But we're not going to worry about that. We're just worrying about the basics. So this is what our website looks like now. The next thing I just really want to add on here is a little like emergency kind of warning thing. Just, hey, we do emergency service. So what I'm going to do here is go like probably 15 or 15 on the top and the bottom, just so we have something. Add the style in the background. And for me, I'm kind of feeling like doing a red, like a warning. As long as it doesn't draw away from this too much, which it does look like it does. The other thing here that we want to be doing is, I did forget about this, we want to go to our button and we want to change the submit button to say request my, right? Request my garage door quote. And then I always like to add a little icon. Typically, I just go arrow, find the little right, grab it, click it to the end, spacing 10, good to go. Request my garage door quote. And then what we can do is we can change the typography in the button to be enter again, and we can match that up with, maybe a 600 for the actual call to action button. And then this part is where we will change this, probably go somewhere like that. And then what I also will do is I'll go into the buttons on here and you can adjust the size. I typically go like medium, large, a little bit too big, medium's pretty good. And then what we want to do is change our color of our button. Now for me, again, this is a little bit of a weird situation based on their colors. I would have to, dive in a little bit more. But typically, I wouldn't want this to be the same color as this. I also wouldn't want a red down here. So I'm probably going to get rid of the red, honestly, and probably just go with like some sort of gray or something like that might, pop and stand out a little bit, but be different. You could even go black on this one because they do have a very dark logo. So I'm going to go with this like dark gray, I think, and then we'll do some little alert text. That way we don't take away from this. So what we're going to do is grab our button color and we're going to change that. Now, typically, like I said, we don't want too much colors going on. We want to draw to that. So I'll probably just grab this color from the call to action and put it on there. And then I just really need to change this text. I'm probably just going to have to go full white, which is what I typically would do. And then put the other text as like a slightly lighter gray, just so you can focus on the one. Now, the other thing I would do here probably is go like something like this, grab 5, and then say like, in parentheses, like however many reviews you have, like 193, say, 5-star review rated on Google. I would probably do this in a separate block. That way I could design it a little bit better, but I love having like a Google review widget on this first fold because I think that does a lot more for you than it does if you do like 3 bullet points or something like that. I'll do that sometimes, but I think this is a little bit better. And then what we could do is we can even make this a little bit bigger just so it stands out a little bit more. So here's our first fold, right? This is the pretty much the full first fold designed. And you saw how quick I just kind of whipped this thing together. But essentially what I would do is actually, in this instance, just because of what we're doing, and if they were, hey, I really want a call to action on there for emergencies. I want people to know we do emergencies. That's what we're working on here. What we'll do, quick headline. Again, we're just going full center on this. We're just going to say need let's say 24/7 emergency garage door services available. And then we can keep that H2 because new block. Typically what we would do here is we can get a little creative as far as how we can design this and everything, but typically I will just keep this thing like left aligned or center aligned. But let's just do this for now, keep it like that. And then what we'll do is typically I'll do a button here just cause what we're doing. So I'll just throw a quick button in there. And then what I'll do is in the text, we'll say call now or something like that. And then we'll say that what the phone number is. Now the reason we're doing this is going to be our like emergency button, right? So we want this to be, hey, call for emergency services or whatever. Instead of call now, probably say call for emergency service. And you can see it's a big button. But what we're going to do is we're going to stretch it out. We're going to change the color to red. So now even if this was your main primary call to action, we still can have this here in red. Typically, again, like I said, we're kind of doing things quick here and not really thinking about it too much. But what I would do is I would probably change this 24/7 garage door services. Or I would probably just do like 24/7 emergency hotline or something like that. And then the reason that we're putting the text on here with the phone number is because not everybody's going to be able to click the button. Some people are going to be calling directly. They're going to type it into their phone off the website. So that's why we would be doing it that way, so that it's easier to, read and, understand. But yeah, this is just a super, super quick way of how I would kind of lay this out. I mean, this part, I obviously have to spend a little bit more time thinking about. It's obviously not the best copy-wise and whatnot. The first fold, I think, looks pretty decent for just whipping it together. I'm probably going to even go like 165 back on this. And just focus on mainly this first fold. Because we just went from this website to this website. And you can see there when I go, you get the full thing. In just, a matter of a few minutes. Now, there is a lot of conflicting buttons right now. I do need this call for emergency service needs to be dumbed down and kind of died down. Typically, honestly, on this one, I would probably just push that down to the next section. I would have just the full first fold being this kind of area. So basically what I'm saying is I would take this, go like 225 or whatever I needed to do. I would probably just do 100% VH, but let's just say it was just like this. This is what I would typically do on this website because we're focused on getting the conversion. So it really will make a difference. I know it probably sounds like it's a whole bunch of junk and just, why would it do that? It doesn't make sense, whatever. But I promise it actually does work. Simplifying things down. Think about when you're a user. Think about user experience first. Focus on the user rather than Google, and you'll have a lot more of an outcome. So hopefully you learned a little bit something out of it. And if you want to watch another video just like this one, you can go ahead and click this box right up here, and it'll take you to that one.